Alright, welcome guys to another video, and today is a special one because we're going to be using Caputo Nuvola Super. Now this is a tipo zero flour, it's not a double zero flour, so it's going to give your dough more strength and structure. Now my idea in this video is to make a Neapolitan contemporary margherita pizza, and I'm going to show you exactly how.
Start by weighing 1.5 grams of active dry yeast. Remember to have a micro scale, and I've been using active dry. It's very reliable. Now, weigh 249 grams of room temperature water and 480 grams of Caputo Nuvola Super.
So I'm obsessed with making doughs, pizzas, and breads at home. I bought this sun mixer and it changed my dough making completely. Let's get to mixing this Biga and you'll see what I mean.
This thing right here is the Ferrari of mixers. I threw out my KitchenAid to have this exact style of Italian mixer to make the best pizza around. So what I did here was add the flour and yeast to the bowl, and now I'm slowly drizzling in the water. It will help your dough mix faster and not let it overheat.
So what we're doing here is building the gluten structure before the dough is even made. This is a Biga, but the dough is 100% Biga. This right here is the secret for making your Neapolitan pizza have lots of strength and get that contemporary fluffy crust.
Now make sure your container is double the size of the Biga because this thing will explode.
So now I'm gonna let this ferment at room temperature overnight for 12 hours, and in the morning we're gonna pop it into the fridge for a long, low and slow 24-hour cold ferment. See you tomorrow.
Waking up to this smell reminds me like I'm in Italy. The Biga pre-ferment is something so familiar with Italian bakers, and it's gonna help our Neapolitan pizza have that fluffy crust. However, let this Biga go another 24 hours in the fridge to maximize the flavor.
So guys, as you can tell, it's 24 hours later, and this Biga is looking amazing.
Now cut the Biga into large cubes before mixing your dough, and now let's weigh out 120 grams of cold water and 13.44 grams of salt using your micro scale. Now you're gonna need a mixer because this dough is highly hydrated. Now add only half of the cold water and let this dough mix until it comes together. Slowly start to drizzle in almost all of the rest of the water until you're left with this much. Now go in with the salt. Now you could finish off the dough with the last drops of water. And I always shoot for a dough that is 75 degrees Fahrenheit in temperature. Now with wet hands, grab that dough and let's give it a slap and fold on the tabletop.
Dough is very wet, so a good mixer always helps. If you guys want a discount on Sun Mix from pizzagoods.com, link is in the description. Now I'm gonna put this dough to rest for only 20 minutes, and I'm gonna come back and do some stretch and folds. See you guys in 20 minutes.
Let this dough rest for another 20 minutes.
So 20 minutes later,
We're ready to divide. This dough recipe yields 3 280 gram dough balls. Right here, I'm pre-shaping the dough, which is a technique that some of the best pizza makers in the world use, including Anthony Mangieri from Una Pizza Napolitana in New York, rated #1 best in the world.
After pre-shaping your dough, let's let it rest for 20 minutes at room temperature, uncovered just like this. Then we're gonna go back and do that final shape.
As you can see, the dough left uncovered has a slightly dry outer texture, which helps the dough not stick to our hands for the final shape. And always use a thin coating of olive oil inside of your containers before fermenting. Now keep the dough on the counter for only 20 minutes at room temperature.
So after 20 minutes of resting, this dough is going to go into the fridge for a nice low and slow cold fermentation. 24 to 48 hours, it gives your dough a layered texture, crispier crust, and a nice leopardy look. So this is what I'm going to do. See you then.
Now this is what your dough looks like after that cold ferment. Doubled in size and it's ready to go. It's super bubbly and active, and this flour is very nice to work with. Now we're going to make a simple margarita, and we're not going to over exaggerate the crust. Here for Neapolitan pizzas, I like a nice moderate crust, nothing too puffy. And today, I happen to be baking this pizza in the wood stone oven, which is at around 600 degrees Fahrenheit. And right away, you could tell why this flour is called Nuvola. As soon as this dough hits that hot oven floor, it starts to puff right up, just like a cloud. After baking this pizza, I can see why a lot of people like this new Caputo Nuvola super flour. Now let's put this flour to the real test. I made my dough recipe 100% Caputo Nuvola super to really try how good it is. Now I've seen that it creates a nice fluffy texture, but it actually might be super light for me. After baking, the crust and texture of the pizza overall got very soft and didn't have any crispy attributes to it. Of course, it's very light and nice to eat. However, I prefer that 00 flour where it yields a crispier, flakier texture. This right here, it kind of breaks apart and it doesn't seem like a Neapolitan pizza. Now, a traditional Neapolitan pizza should be chewy, charred, and have a more structured texture, whereas this Caputo Nuvola super is too soft for me. This flour has potential to be blended in with some 00 flour to make amazing Neapolitan pizza. So stay tuned what I do next.